2016. I thought I'd do an update and check in to see what's happening as far as our coronal holes on the sun and a quick update on earthquake activity across the globe. Now, looking at the SDO footage, and what you're seeing on your screen now is a 48-hour clip of our sun. Now, as I spoke about several days ago, as we were waiting for the larger coronal hole to pass by, I noticed this triangular shaped coronal hole opening up on the side of the sun. Well, now it is turning towards the Earth, and probably within the next few days, we will be pretty close to direct alignment with it. As I was viewing this footage, I started to see in the lower left-hand corner of your screen and the sun what looks to be another coronal hole opening up in the sun. And as I was looking at this over and over and over again, it seems that as the sun is turning, that coronal hole is getting larger. And there's been a lot of dispute about coronal holes and their effects on the Earth and related to earthquakes. Well, listen, I have shown this particular article that talks about coronal holes and earthquakes. And there is plenty of information, hardcore information, dealing with the effects of coronal holes on the Earth. And the problem is this type of evidence, although it's very damning in favor of the dispute between coronal holes and earthquake activity, if you take a look at history with coronal holes facing the Earth and the magnitude and destruction of these earthquakes, it's kind of sad. Because literally, September 16th, 2015, very large coronal hole. As you can see, I'm circling it right here. 8.3 in Chile. I remember that earthquake. A lot of destruction. April 25th, 2015, Nepal, magnitude 7.8. Now, folks, look, take a look at the coronal hole. It's very similar in size to what we are looking at on the SDO footage, which is actually coming our way. And then possibly another coronal hole, slightly lower and rotating again towards Earth. How long it will take to reach Earth, I'm not sure. I'm not a scientist. Will it fill back in? I hope it does. But it seems that we're seeing this ongoing pattern for the last 2 weeks. So is something else affecting our sun? Once again, I don't hold those answers. The powers that be, the boys in blue, NASA, they hold this information and they failed to release it to the world. But anyways, as I was referring back to the evidence pertaining to coronal holes and earthquakes, well, you know, you have your critics out there. I mean, I have my own personal critic over there in the UK, Mr. Matthews. I mean, he's pretty much of a joke, and he basically tells everyone that there is absolutely no assimilation between earthquakes and coronal holes. And if you ever go and watch any of his ridiculous debunking videos, where he gets about 8 views, but he rambles on and on. Oh, bloody hell, Scott, this is all bullocks. You are lying to the people. I actually have a better British accent than he does, because you could barely understand him. But anyways, forget about the critics, because they really mean nothing and they have no knowledge of anything. I'm not even sure if this guy can tie his own shoes. But anyways, as you can clearly see, moving into May 24th, 2013, 8.3 in Russia. And the list goes on and on and on. So we have clear evidence, documented evidence, scientific evidence, clearly showing us that these coronal holes can and will create earthquakes. Now, the question I have is, do we have other factors within our solar system that are kind of sneaking up on us. You know, there's been a lot of talk of the helium gas, the H4, the cosmic wave. I mean, I even did a video on it because, I mean, when that information came out, it came from credible sources, but immediately, you know, I found out and dispelled it as some kind of disinformation, leading us in another direction very, very quickly. And then, as you can see, other stories have come out, other scientific evidence has come out. And I'm just tired of all of us staying in the dark. That's the reason I do what I do. I'm looking for the truth. Why should we be set up each and every time we have an event and they're going to cover it up? But anyways, as you can clearly see, we're not out of the woods. So I looked up some earthquake data for this morning. I've already been up 8 hours working away. And what I uncover is over 60 earthquakes have occurred since the start of December 29th, 2016, midnight UTC time. Here's the list. I'll leave you a link. And there have been some pretty sizable earthquakes, all testimonials. You can go through each and every one of these, and the majority of them have testimonials from people that have just went through this earthquake. Click on the link in blue over here. It will give you all of the information. But the list just goes on and on and on. And this first whole page is all the beginning of December 29th, 2016. But the critics will tell you, oh, that's bloody normal. That's bloody normal. Well, no, I don't think that's bloody normal. I actually think that's quite abnormal. And I think the way that these people think is abnormal. And why would you tell someone that is looking for information to protect themselves because maybe they live in an earthquake zone, a coastal area that could be subjected to tsunamis? What are you, half crocked in your mind that you want to deceive people? So folks, what I'm trying to say is I provide you with the links for the information for you to do your own homework. And I know the subscribers to this channel, I know they do their homework. I get your emails. I don't have time to respond to each and every one of them, but I do read them. And I'm dealing with intelligent people, not some dummy sitting in his mom's basement over in the UK, muddling in his own crap, playing with a government computer that was issued to him. But anyways, once again, you can see all of the information for the first several hours of December 29th, 2016, over 60 earthquakes. And they had a pretty good size earthquake in New Zealand. Actually, right between both of the islands, almost dead center. And actually, let's just take a look at that. The coordinates for the epicenter, I have punched into Google Earth. Let's go down there to New Zealand and see our Kiwi friends and see what they're going through. Okay, it's going to take you right smack dab into the middle of the water. We're going to pan all the way back out, and you are going to see the epicenter of one of three earthquakes. Two were probably aftershocks. Magnitude 5.3, 5.2. And it seems that the USGS, they don't actually report the actual detection magnitude of that earthquake. It seems that they wait for the first aftershock, which is slightly smaller, and then they report that. I have been catching them doing that for weeks now. I haven't said anything about it, but I've been paying very close detail, and that's what they're doing. And that's if they report the earthquake at all. But as you can clearly see, this earthquake went off right between the islands. Now, I was reviewing some of the testimonials for this earthquake. There was a few of them. And definitely, people were sleeping and they felt this earthquake. They felt it pretty good. And we all know that New Zealand is in a earthquake prone area. I mean, I've heard that excuse Oh Lord, over the past several weeks, I've heard it 1,000 times. And yes, we know that New Zealand is in a fragile zone. But that you people that say that, what are you going to say to the people in New Zealand when they get rocked with a magnitude 9 and people lose their lives and they go through even more destruction than they went through previously with the 7.8 that hit there? So you people that say that there's nothing wrong, well, when people die, you go to the funeral homes of their relatives and you tell them, "Oh, this was just nothing. This is just a natural occurrence." Well, I'd have to beg to differ with you, because it seems to be that that is just the big common excuse now. This is all just a common occurrence. Well, how much more of that crap are we going to buy? Can you think of another excuse other than this being a common occurrence? I'm sure all the boys in blue over there at NASA, I'm sure they're all running around with their little pencils stuck behind their ear and their little pen pack stuck in their front pocket of their shirt, wondering what in the hell are we going to do with all of these brains and all of this technology. Well, how about warning people? How about coming out and telling the world that these things are occurring? Do you think maybe it would be that much for you to put an earthquake warning out compared to what you're seeing on your own damn satellites in space? I mean, do you really need people on YouTube? And I'll tell you, there are some smart people on YouTube. So do we need YouTube to tell the world that this is what's happening? I think more people are tuning in to YouTube than they are the news. Your regular, what is that thing called? Mainstream media. They're a mainstream joke. You never get a straight answer. So anyways, there have been quite a few earthquakes. Over 60. I could update this right now, and there have been a slew of earthquakes. One area that I'm worried about, and like I've been saying, is the west coast of South America. They've already been hit several times. It's going to keep occurring. And Chile's taking a pounding. And things have actually heated up on the west coast of the United States, in California and Nevada. And once again, you can see quite a big swarm of activity going on right here in Alaska. And there are so many earthquakes that are unreported. And I'll tell you what, we could just go real quick and take a look at earthquakes around the world. This is just the past 24 hours. These earthquakes are so clustered together, they're literally on top of each other. They just look like single red dots. Look at the perfect line of earthquakes along Chile. A 4.3, a 4.2, a 4.6. And if you don't know anything about, geology, well, they're right along a plate line. It's running all the way up, and they're having the same issues in Mexico. But nobody is reporting the issues in Mexico. The European agency does. The USGS, they don't report it. They just don't. We'll take a look at Mexico. The last 2 days, as you see here. There you go. Here's your list. Magnitude 4.1, 4.4, 4.7, 4.0. The list goes on and on. Oh, but they're going to tell you this is just normal. Well, folks, all I got to say is you better stay tuned. Keep your eyes and your ears open. Pay attention to the information that's out there. Get familiar with the links that we provide you in the videos. Go to the links, do your homework, educate yourself, stay informed. That's the best advice that I can give you. Don't listen to the naysayers that give you very dumb excuses in the comment sections of these videos. Don't listen to a word they say, because they're there for a reason. They're there to place doubt in your mind, to dumb you down. So if you like to be called a dummy, just listen to what they have to say. I'll have an additional update for you in a few hours. So please, by all means, stay tuned. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Nibiru channel. It is December 29th, 2016. I thought I'd do an update and check in to see what's happening as far as our coronal holes on the sun and a quick update on earthquake activity across the globe. Now, looking at the SDO footage, and what you're seeing on your screen now is a 48-hour clip of our sun. Now, as I spoke about several days ago, as we were waiting for the larger coronal hole to pass by, I noticed this triangular-shaped coronal hole opening up on the side of the sun. Well, now it is turning towards the Earth, and probably within the next few days, we will be pretty close to direct alignment with it. As I was viewing this footage, I started to see in the lower left-hand corner of your screen and the sun what looks to be another coronal hole opening up in the sun. And as I was looking at this over and over and over again, it seems that as the sun is turning, that coronal hole is getting larger. And there's been a lot of dispute about coronal holes and their effects on the Earth and related to earthquakes. Well, listen, I have shown this particular article that talks about coronal holes and earthquakes. And there is plenty of information, hardcore information, dealing with the effects of coronal holes on the Earth. And the problem is this type of evidence, although it's very damning in favor of the dispute between coronal holes and earthquake activity, if you take a look at history with coronal holes facing the Earth and the magnitude and destruction of these earthquakes